So you're thinking about moving to Charleston, South Carolina. Well, in this video, we're gonna look at the pros and the cons of living in Charleston. We're gonna look at the good, the bad, and the ugly from a local's perspective. We're gonna hit on the activities, some of my personal favorite restaurants, some of the sights to see, and if you stick around until the end of the video, we're gonna go over my do's and don'ts of living in Charleston. Let's jump right into the video. What's up, y'all? If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is about Charleston, South Carolina and living in the surrounding areas, then make sure you subscribe and click that notification bell to be the first to learn about everything going on in the current Charleston market. My name is Garrett Linderman. I'm a local real estate agent, and my partner Taylor and I get calls, texts, and emails every single day from people just like you looking to make their move to Charleston, South Carolina. Whether you're moving in 7 days or 7 months, make sure to reach out and we would love to help you with your move. All right, so I actually graduated high school here, and then I went off to Clemson University, and then I came back to Charleston. But before I went off to school, I actually promised myself I would not be coming back to Charleston. I wouldn't be moving back here. I'm gonna go off, do my thing, and I'm gonna go live elsewhere. Well, what I didn't know is how special Charleston really was, because I'd spent pretty much my whole life here in Charleston, and it was sort of the don't know what you have until it's gone type situation. And even since then, I've been to several different places in the country. I have visited friends that are living in other states and cities, and my opinion remains the same, is that Charleston is my favorite place to be and to live, and I hope this video decreases the time that it takes for you to make a decision to move here or the information gap. All right, so the first pro about Charleston has to be the food. If you're not familiar with Charleston at all, just know that the food scene here is incredible. You will never be bored. There's always new restaurants popping up, and it'll take you years and years to go through all of the different restaurants that we have. A central hub for food here in Charleston is going to be the downtown area, really on East Bay Street and King Street are where most of your restaurants going to be, but there's several scattered throughout. And then all amongst the other different suburbs in Mount Pleasant, James Island, Folly Beach, there's restaurants really everywhere. And I actually have a full list of my personal favorite restaurants that I've tried and ones that are on my list to try. If you're interested in that, I'll drop a link down in the description below. Some of my favorite restaurants personally are going to be Fleet Landing, which is right on the water downtown. It's seafood and has a great view. Hall's Chop House is a must for celebrating, or if you want a killer steak. At one point, it was the top 5 steakhouse in America. It might even still be. A new restaurant that you need to check out that's Italian-inspired cuisine is Sorelle. That is also downtown. In addition to that, we have some places for sushi. I would recommend Oku and 167 Sushi. Those places, you're gonna get some killer sushi. 167 Raw, you can go for fresh oysters, and they have a killer lobster roll there as well. In addition to that, there's food trucks everywhere in Charleston at all of your local events and concerts, and make sure to check those out. All right, the number 2 pro in Charleston is gonna be your environment and your activities. You're not gonna be bored here in Charleston as long as you're taking advantage of all that it has to offer. I remember growing up here and in high school and even after college, I was just never bored. There was always something to do, whether you want to go surfing, you want to go paddleboarding, go on the boat. You can just ride your bike downtown or in any of the neighborhoods of the surrounding areas. You can go to Folly Beach, you can go to Sullivan's Island, you can go to Isle of Palms, you can take a quick 45 to hour drive down to Edisto Island or Kiowa. There's just so much to do here, and you're surrounded by water. So of course there's gonna be water activities and events and things to do that you'll be sure to enjoy while you're here. If you love history, downtown Charleston is the place to go. There's also Charlestown Landing, which is in West Ashley. That is where Charleston was first established, so make sure you go check that out. There's also lots of plantations. If you go up Highway 61, there's gonna be a string of plantations there, and you can learn all about the different history that happened. So pretty, so beautiful. Make sure you check those out. There's plenty of fitness centers and gyms for all different price points and styles. So many activities, perfect for burning off all of those calories that you ate at the local restaurants. One secret I like to share is to go and check out Morse Island, which is an island with a lighthouse right off of Folly Beach. If you can get there via boat, via friend, go check it out. You can have a fire on the beach and grill hot dogs and hamburgers, have a good time. throw out a line and go fishing. And it's just a good spot that you probably wouldn't find out unless you asked one of the locals or you lived here for a long time. So that is a pro tip. Make sure you check that out if you become friends with someone with a boat. All right, my number 3 pro tip about Charleston is all of the events that they have here. We have music, we have festivals, and we have regular events that go on throughout the span of the year. In terms of music, we have the Charleston Music Hall, we have the Charleston Music Farm, we have Credit One Stadium, which will hold a lot of the larger acts. We have the Charleston Coliseum, we have Firefly Distillery, and we also have the Windjammer. There's so many different places that are hosting local and big musicians and acts. Again, you're not gonna be bored and you're probably gonna be able to see your favorite musician or band. One of my favorite things to go to is the SeaWe Festival, which stands for the Southeastern Wildlife Exposition, which is just a celebration of the great outdoors through live entertainment, fine art, and other events. Seasonally, we have events too. One example is the James Island County Park Festival of Lights. You drive through the county park and you have all of these incredible arrays of Christmas lights that form the Ravenel Bridge and other parts of Charleston and creative ideas. Make sure to check that out during the holidays. Additionally, we have Second Sunday, which is when they close off King Street downtown and no cars can pass and everyone can walk in the streets, and there are vendors and everyone's walking in the shops having a good time. We also have the West Ashley Farmers Market where you can go and get local produce and such, and we also have that on Johns Island and other areas as well. So events are not lacking in the Charleston area. Don't worry, you're always gonna have something to do for events. And just a reminder to subscribe down below if you're getting value out of this video, and if you want to stay up to date on all that Charleston has to offer. We make all these videos for free for you so that you can learn about all that Charleston has to offer, and so that when you move here, you have a resource to make the move and we can make it simple for you. So make sure to subscribe down below. And that brings us into pro number 4, which is the history of Charleston. There's a rich history in Charleston. South Carolina was one of the 13 original colonies. We have history about where Charleston actually started. I have a video where I go through West Ashley, and in that video I'm walking through Charlestown Landing and you can see a little bit of that. If you love old beautiful homes, downtown's the place to go. They have tours. We also have plantations scattered throughout the area, especially if you go up Highway 61. You can check out Magnolia Plantation, Middleton Plantation. We also have Patriots Point, which is a naval museum right after you get off the Ravenel Bridge. That's really cool. You can't miss it. It's like the biggest ship in the Charleston Harbor. That's the USS Yorktown. We also have Fort Sumter, which you can take a ferry out to go see Fort Sumter. You can learn all about the Battle of Fort Sumter. A lot of rich history there as well. The Battery, which is right downtown, and White Point Garden. I can go on and on and on, but the point is that everywhere you turn, there's history. All right, number 5 has to be the weather in Charleston. It does get pretty hot here, and it probably gets colder than you think being here in Charleston. The summer times are great, but they are very humid. So if you're not used to humidity and you're coming from the north, then just know that might be a little bit of a shock. Maybe it's worth making a visit to Charleston and spending some time here on vacation in the summertime to get used to that humidity, or at least be prepared for that. But the summers get pretty darn hot. You'll be looking at temperatures with a heat index up over 100 degrees, temperatures in the 90s. Make sure you wear sunblock because you will get burnt. The wintertime in Charleston, we've had snow every once in a while, but that's not a regular thing. The temperatures get down into the 30s. We've had them get down into the 20s before, which is pretty rare. So they don't get super cold like they do up north, not even close really, but you know, we've been below freezing and we have had snow every once in a while. My favorite time of the year is gonna be fall and springtime, right as you're coming off of summertime and that humidity gets wiped away. It's kind of where we're at right now. I love this time of year before it gets too cold. Right around this time too, we have the Coastal Carolina Fair, which is at the fairgrounds up in Ladson, and that's a really great place to go to have a good time and eat some fair food, go on some rides. We'll probably go there here in a few weeks. Right now the temperatures are right in the mid 60s, and we actually have some lows this week in the 30s randomly, but I think the low today was somewhere in the 60s. So right around fall time, you know, the weather's changing obviously, and you'll have some days that are still pretty hot and other days that are randomly cold. But during the summertime, the weather is very sunny, but it's also the rainy season, It rains a ton. You gotta cut your grass every single week, but it's tourist season. Everyone's out, especially out on the water, out on boats, doing water activities, and it's a great time. Okay, number 6 pro about Charleston is gonna be the proximity to other areas around you. There is Myrtle Beach, which is very popular. We have Kiowa Island, which is probably an hour drive from Charleston. You can go stay there. Seabrook Island. We're about a 2-hour drive to Savannah, Georgia, and we're about a 3-hour drive to upstate Greenville, 3 to 4 hours, depending on the traffic. If you want to get that mountainous or the base of the mountains, we have Greenville, which is, at the base of the Blue Ridge Mountains up there. Really pretty, especially in the fall time. I went to school up there at Clemson University, which is about 45 minutes from downtown Greenville. Okay, number 7 pro is going to be friendliness. If you're from up north, everybody knows it. People just aren't as nice generally. When you come down to the south, we're saying yes sir, yes ma'am, y'all, please and thank you. It's just something that is a bonus of living here that I've noticed compared to when I go other places. People are gonna open doors from you. So yeah, it's just a little added bonus is the kindness and friendliness of the people that live here. Friendliness here is pretty high compared to a lot of other places. And you'll see that when you come to visit or when you move here. And last but not least, for the pros of Charleston is gonna be the property taxes. If you're living up north and you come down to Charleston, your property taxes are gonna be a fraction of the cost of what they are up there. I've helped several people move from the state of New York this year, and their property taxes were less than a fourth of what they were up in New York State. If you wanna know what your taxes are gonna be on a home here, we have a free resource on our website to all the different counties of Charleston where you can see what your different taxes would be. I can also help you with that. If you find a house that you really like, we can look up what those taxes would be if you were to purchase that house, and you can compare it to your current property taxes. According to Forbes, I think South Carolina is like number 5 lowest property taxes by state. So yeah, come on and enjoy the low property taxes. Now, something to note is that if you get a second property or an investment property, your taxes triple in South Carolina. So just know that if you're coming here as an investor, you don't get the benefit of low property taxes if it's a second home or an investment property. All right, that concludes the pros of living in Charleston, South Carolina. We're gonna go right into the cons, but before that, if you're getting value out of this video, please go ahead and subscribe so you can be the first to learn about everything in this Charleston market. Again, we make these videos for free. Hope you're enjoying them, but please consider us if you do end up moving to the state, or send this to someone that is considering moving. Okay, so number 1 con, in my opinion, of living in Charleston is the bugs. Yes, we have mosquitoes and we have gnats. If you're not used to bugs, get used to it. It'll be okay. They're pretty prevalent here in Charleston, especially in the summertime. If you're out on the water or you're on the beach, you're gonna get bit up by bugs. Make sure you bring some bug spray. It is what it is. Maybe it's not the worst thing about Charleston, but it is something you'll notice if you're not used to mosquitoes and those, we call them no-see-ums here because you can't see them and you're like, what is biting me? Anyway, number 2 con of Charleston is the humidity. Some people just aren't used to it. They don't like it, and it takes some time to get used to it. The summertime is really only when you need to worry about that, so about 25% of the year. But after living here for a few years, you do get used to the humidity, but it is very, very high, especially in the mornings. And you'll walk outside in the summertime and you'll be sweating all of a sudden, but it's not too bad once you get used to it. Okay, 3rd con of living in Charleston is, I hate to say it, the affordability of living in Charleston. Home prices have gone up dramatically, especially since COVID. They kind of screwed everything up for a lot of places, but especially Charleston in terms of affordability. If you're a homeowner here, you've really loved the appreciation in your home value, and you've probably been able to sell it for a lot of money and go buy something else. But just know that when you come here, the median price point is right around mid 500s in the Charleston area. If you go somewhere like Summerville, which is about a 30-minute drive away, the affordability goes up. So you could get a house with a 3 in front of it, even with new construction, and there's gonna be a lot more options for you. But in the Charleston area, you're gonna be looking at something in the 400s or 500s for something that's fairly fixed up, doesn't need a complete gut or overhaul. You can find townhomes in the high 3s as well, but just note that when you're coming here, the affordability is gonna be lower, just depending on where you're coming from. If you're coming from certain parts of California or New York, maybe that number doesn't seem high to you at all, in which case it might seem even more affordable. But just keep that in mind. If you're curious to know at what price point the type of home that you're looking for is, just make sure to reach out to me. Info down in the description below, and we can get on Zoom and go through what the current market looks like and at what price point you want to be at and what homes are available in that price point. All right, number 4 con of Charleston is the roads. People don't love the roads here. There's potholes everywhere and drainage issues being at sea level here. So just know that when you come here, the roads are not the best. I wish they were better. They're constantly repaving and trying to fix the potholes, but it is what it is. All right, number 5 con is flooding and flood insurance. Most of the homes here in Charleston have flood insurance because they're in some sort of a flood zone. Not every home is in a really terrible flood zone, really high risk area. For the most part, those homes are gonna be on the water or near the water. And in those cases, most of those homes are already elevated off of the ground. So for the most part, you don't really have to worry about it. Flooding does happen, especially downtown Charleston. The drainage is just terrible, and downtown floods whenever we get a bunch of rain or we get a hurricane and such. Yes, certain homes and different properties will flood a little bit more than others. That's something that we can ask for on the front end from the seller. Hey, does your home flood? Does it have a history of flooding? Tell us about that. We can look at the flood zone, and we can look at what the flood insurance would be for that property. And that leads me into my next section, which is hurricanes. Number 6 con is hurricanes. We live on the East Coast and we get hurricanes. It's just a thing. But you'd be surprised how many people actually don't leave here whenever there's an evacuation. If there is a category 5 hurricane and it looks like it's gonna be a huge disaster, yeah, people leave, people evacuate. There's still people that don't. But for the most part, it's not a common thing to worry about. Hurricane season is really only in the latter half of the summer for the most part. And if there's a hurricane that's a category 1, 2, even 3, there's a lot of locals that just don't leave. They just hunker down, they get food and water, and they stay put. It's usually not too bad. Now, we have had bad hurricanes in the past. Most notably is Hurricane Hugo, which was in the 80s. That one was devastating. But just know that for the most part, people here don't really worry about hurricanes that much unless it's something we really need to worry about. And in which case, we just leave and evacuate the city. All right, number 7 con is traffic. Now, some people are gonna say, boo-hoo, your traffic is nothing. That's great, come on, come to Charleston. But it is something that's become a problem over the years just due to the inefficiency of some of the roads in the area and the high demand for people wanting to move here. There's been a lot more people moving here, and we don't really have a lot of room to expand the roads here, or at least we're working on them, but they take a long time to get fixed or widened. So the traffic has increased. It's nothing like in Atlanta or in LA, but if you're coming from Somerville to Charleston early in the morning, you're going to be in traffic for 45 minutes or an hour, depending on if there is a accident or not. Could even be longer. So once you come here, you learn the different traffic patterns, but you're not going to be in traffic for 2, 3, 4 hours like some other places. I hope no one's sitting in traffic for 4 hours, but you get what I'm saying. There's going to be some traffic for the most part everywhere you go around the rush hour time. Just is what it is, but traffic has increased over the years. All right, number 8 con about Charleston is the lack of elevation. If you're someone who likes the mountains or hills, we have none of that here. So just know that we're flat as a pancake. There's no elevation. We're basically at sea level. Yeah, I just threw that in there as a con because I love the mountains personally. That is something that I struggle with living here, but just note that you're about 4 hours from the mountains if you want to take a drive up to the upstate or to North Carolina. Number 9 con of Charleston is the walkability and the bikeability here. In terms of walkability and bikeability, they're not the best here. They are working on it, but we do have a greenway and a bikeway that allows people to go run and walk and ride their bikes, but it's not going to be the best compared to a lot of other areas that you've probably been to or a lot of other cities that have done it really well. All right, we've covered the pros of Charleston. We've covered the cons of Charleston. If you're still sticking around with me, I'm glad you're here. We're going to go over the do's and the don'ts from a Charleston local's perspective. These are just my opinions of things to do and not to do. If you're moving here, it's just a little bit of insight from me to you. Hope you find some value in it. All right, number 1 don't is don't freak out about hurricanes too much. Yes, hurricanes are serious. A lot of people have lost their lives, lost their homes. I totally get it. There is a time and a place to evacuate, But for the most part, you really don't need to stress too much. And yes, that's anecdotal evidence, but also just talking to a lot of family and friends here, when hurricanes do come, it's not something that we're all freaking out over. It's just not. So don't freak out too much over a hurricane, unless you need to freak out and leave. So that's just my caution. Don't freak out too much. All right, my first do is visit Charleston before moving here if you can. If you can't, watch these videos, ask me some questions. I could even do a FaceTime tour of houses for you if you can't visit Charleston prior to moving here, if you have obligations and you have to move here. But please do try and visit Charleston. I think Charleston is the best place to live personally. That's why I live here, but not everyone will, realistically. So make sure you visit here and see the sights and everything to see, watch these videos, and make sure you get a good feel for Charleston before you make the big move. My next don't is don't come here to try and change it. Charleston is the way it is for a reason. A lot of people love Charleston. That's why they're moving here. It's why people stay here. It's why the quality of life is really high. Don't come here with the intent to change Charleston, to make it to the place that you're coming from. One frustration of the locals is that Northerners or people from California come here and try to change it. So that's just my word of caution. All right, my next do is go explore Charleston regularly when you move here. If you want a way to guarantee to not like Charleston, it's to move here, stay in your home, and never go out. I promise you, you will not like Charleston. I promise you won't like anywhere you move if you do that anyway. But make sure you go here and you explore. Go to the beaches, go downtown, go to all the different restaurants, go search out community groups, get plugged in, and you're really gonna get the full experience if you do that regularly, because I've lived here since I was 6 years old and I'm still finding new things to do. I'm still trying things for the first time, even though they've been around for years and decades. There's always new restaurants that are coming out that I love. So make sure you're exploring regularly, put it on your list. Make yourself do it if you're an introvert, and I promise it'll make your Charleston experience so much better. All right, my next don't is don't get caught up in the hustle and bustle of Charleston. Charleston is a little big town, and that's the best way I can describe it. There's a lot of movers, there's a lot of big players here, there's businesses, there's a lot of competition, and sometimes it can feel as though you're getting caught up in everything here, and you don't take time to just sit and relax and enjoy the environment that's around you. So just know that it's easy to get caught up in everything that there is to do here. Just make sure you're taking time to sit back and take a look at everything around you, and yeah, just enjoy being here. And my next do is make sure you consult a professional before moving here. Someone that's a local, someone that knows the real estate market. Yes, I'm making a pitch for myself, but we really do know the area, and we are gonna be a valuable resource for anybody that's moving here. We just know the area very well. We know the restaurants, the events, the activities. We know what the market's like. We know what the price point's like. We know all the things to know before you move here, and hopefully decrease the knowledge gap so that you can make a wise decision before moving here. And even after you moved here, you're gonna need vendors, handyman, contractors. You're just gonna need people like that in your life anywhere you live. We already have connections with those people, and we can help with that. Again, if you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe down below. Consider checking out some of my other videos so you can get a feel of Charleston. And whether you're moving in 7 days or 7 months, we'd love to help make the move simple and easy. I hope y'all enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.